There's a popular saying that goes, do what you're passionate about and you never stop enjoying what you do. Well, we are here again on another edition of AM Today, your flagship current affairs program, doing what we are passionate about, keeping you informed and engaging you in conversation that matter. It's a beautiful Monday morning, coming to you live from the Osrc television studios right here in Orita Obele, Akure. My name is Adebukola Oba, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to another edition of AM Today. Trust me, we've got a beautiful lineup for you this morning, from bringing to you top stories, making headlines from around the world, to engaging you in conversation and issues that matter to you and our society. Of course, I'm not on the program alone. I've got my co-host with me, Alex Adejoye. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Bukola. How you doing?
I'm fine. I trust you had a beautiful and restful weekend.
Hopefully, yes, I did. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's a beautiful Monday morning, and viewers, we welcome you to AM Today. It's a pleasure to have you joining us a lot. As always, today's edition promises to be engaging and very interesting. Just stay with us. We'll take you through the journey this morning.
All right, now let's begin with our newspaper review. I'll be taking us through stories from The Punch, Nigerian Tribune, and The Vanguard. Well, Alex will bring us...
yes,
stories.
I have with me the Nation newspaper, the Daily Trust, and the Guardian.
All right,
yes.
I'm going to be starting with Vanguard, and my first story reads, FCCPC to marketers, cut petrol prices or face sanctions. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has warned oil marketers against exploiting consumers, saying the current retail prices of petrol do not reflect the sharp decline in global crude oil prices. In a statement issued on Sunday, the Commission said its ongoing surveillance of the downstream petroleum sector had uncovered indications of consumer exploitation, as recent reductions in petrol prices by refiners, depot operators, and marketers remain insignificant despite the sustained fall in crude oil prices. According to the FCCPC, global crude oil prices have dropped to about $73 per barrel following the ceasefire between the United States and Iran and the reopening of the Straits of Hormuz. The agency noted that crude prices had climbed to about $120 per barrel at the height of tensions in the Middle East between April and May, prompting a swift increase in petrol pump prices across Nigeria. The Commission observed that while crude oil prices have now returned to levels recorded in February, retail fuel prices have remained relatively high. It recorded petrol sold for between 800 naira and 900 naira per litre in February, but rose sharply to between 1,350 naira and 1,500 naira per litre during the period of heightened geopolitical tensions. Despite the subsequent drop in crude oil prices, petrol is still being sold at an average of about 1,200 naira per litre, while some local refiners have fixed ex-depot prices between 1,025 naira and 1,075 naira per litre. For more details on this, you can find on the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, sitting at the center of the Nation newspaper comes the state police matters. How state police bills versions differ, with the riders lawmaker to raise harmonization panel July 7. Kalu, no cause for alarm. The Senate and the House of Representatives are bracing for the harmonization of the different version of the state police bill they recently passed. While the House of Representatives passed the bill on June 10, the Senate passed the executive bill transmitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on June 24. There are differences between the two versions, which lawmakers will reconcile through a joint conference committee of both chambers. The bill seeks to alter the Constitution and will require the concurrence of at least 2/3 of the 36 state House of Assemblies before it is presented to the President for assent. The Senate version contains 26 clauses, while House version has 18. While the House made minimal alteration to Section 34, 35, 39, 42, 89, 129, 153, and 197 of the Constitution. The Senate amended Section 84, 89, 121, 124, 129, 157, 158, 160, 197, 201, and 202 section. A comparison of the two versions shows that both chambers introduce a new section of 214 to replace the existing provision in the Constitution. For details on this story, you find in the Nation newspaper.
All right, I'm still on Vanguard. Photo: Stop ISWAP commanders surrender as military intensifies offensive. The Nigerian military has recorded another breakthrough in its counter-insurgency campaign in the northeast as a fresh group of top leaders of the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, surrendered to troops of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Adinkai, OPHK, following sustained military offensives. The development came as 76 terrorist foot soldiers, alongside some of their family members, also laid down their arms and surrendered to troops within the last week. The acting media information officer of Headquarters Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Adinkai, Captain Mohammed Goni, disclosed this in a statement issued on Monday in Maiduguri, Borno State. Although the military withheld the identities of the surrendered commanders and did not disclose the exact locations where they surrendered for security reasons, Goni attributed the development to sustained military pressure and intelligence-driven operations. According to him, troops of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai have continued to record significant operational success in the ongoing counter-terrorism campaign against Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, terrorists, through sustained operations backed by credible, timely, and actionable intelligence. He said a fresh group of top ISWAP leaders had abandoned their enclaves and surrendered to troops operating within the Northeast Theater. For more details on this, you can find on Vanguard. But I think, the more security operatives intensify their operations, I think the more these terrorist groups are going to surrender. And I do hope the same is going to happen with the Oyo State incident.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because the news we are hearing day by day is that they continue closing in on them to where these terrorists are. And at the end of the day, I think what is going to come out of this is going to be, they are going to surrender at the end
I think what federal government is doing, especially the Nigerian military, is the fact that they understand the nature of the war. I don't want to even call it war, the battle we are in, because they don't even measure up to war against a nation like Nigeria.
Of course.
So the
They
idea
do not
is,
have what it takes
yeah,
to be
yeah.
as
So
well
the idea
in
is
Nigeria.
just to choke them in the sense that the means of getting ammunition, possibly from other syndicated groups cut across the globe, if that can be cut off, then it's a matter of time.
Of course.
They're
of
as
course.
good as dead,
Just
and
continue
possibly
hoping.
it's best, like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said in his broadcast during the Democracy Day, that it's best that government will not negotiate, but you can surrender. And a lot of people are trying to term that surrender to be something else. Surrender does not mean you're going to escape punishment.
At all.
So,
At all.
so I think it's best for them to surrender and
course.
let peace reign. And there is a saying that peace is not the absence of war. Sometimes you fight war to enforce peace. So I think it's up to them. So now, still very much with the Nation newspaper. Judiciary will do justice, says NDC. With the rider, party will be on ballot coming from Dixon. The national leader of Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, Senator Seraki Dixon, last night said the party has confidence in the judiciary to dispense justice to all. Speaking on Friday's Federal High Court, Lokoja ruling set aside its judgment, which paved the way for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to register the NDC. This can describe the ruling as having no effect on the party's status. According to him, the NDC is nevertheless challenging the ruling at the Court of Appeal and before the trial court. He said, judicial system emphasizes that a trial can err. That is why we have the other layers of court to take care of that. The former Bayelsa State Governor declared that the judgment will not stop the NDC from appearing on the ballot arguing that the court did not order INEC to remove the party from the register of political parties. Speaking on channels last night, Dixon said, and I quote, NDC is on the ballot. All our candidates will be on the ballot. NDC has not been deregistered and will not be deregistered, end of quote. It disclosed that the party had already challenged the judgment by filing an appeal alongside applications for a stay of execution and injunction to prevent any administrative action that could affect its participation in the election. This also questioned the legal standing of the group that instituted the suit, arguing that it lacked the capacity to sustain such an action. Details of this story you get in the Nation newspaper.
All right, now I'm moving on to Punch newspaper. Operation Kosaye. Police hunt kidnappers in Lagos, Ogun Forest. Security operatives from Lagos and Ogun states have launched a joint offensive against criminal networks operating along the border corridor between the two states, leading to the arrest of 88 suspects, the rescue of 5 kidnapped victims, the recovery of arms and ammunition, and the death of 4 suspected criminals during encounters with security personnel. The operation, codenamed Operation Kosaye, a Yoruba phrase meaning there is no hiding place, was initiated by the Nigerian Police Force to dismantle kidnapping syndicates, armed robbery gangs, and other violent criminal groups exploiting forest and border communities between Lagos and Ogun states as hideouts. The development followed coordinated operations by the Lagos and Ogun State Police Commands, with operatives combing forest locations and criminal hideouts along the J3/J4 axis of Ogbere in Ogun State and other identified flashpoints around the two states. The operation had already yielded significant outcomes, including the rescue of 5 kidnapped victims, the arrest of 88 suspects, and the neutralization of 4 suspected kidnappers. The operation was formally launched by the police at the Police Training School, Ikperu Remo, Ogun State, where the commissioners of police in Ogun and Lagos states, Bode Ojajuni and Tijani Fatai, respectively outlined the objectives of the initiative. Ojajuni said the operation was designed to flush out kidnappers and other violent criminals hiding in forests, border communities, and ungoverned spaces across the two states. He said the name Kosaye captured the mission of the security operation, ensuring that criminals had no safe haven within the Lagos-Ogun axis. For more details on this story, you can find on Punch newspaper.
In as much as that the security code name is kind of hilarious,
Kosaye,
no room, no hiding
place
for terrorists. There's no, you can't come and nest in that environment.
Yes.
I think sometimes, you know, the way we treat security issues, or possibly maybe the security challenge that is peculiar to what we're facing, will determine the approach you will use in dealing with it. And, you know, because people are already thinking that the level of encroachment, you know, border migration of terrorists is becoming alarming.
Yes.
And that explains why Lagos is coming up with that security code, Operation Kosaye.
There's no room for that.
No room at all.
Of course.
Very interesting.
It's actually a thing of joy and a sign of relief to see that our security agencies are actually doing more. And that is what we are expecting of them. We need them to be proactive in dealing with terrorism in Nigeria. There is no room for any form of terrorism in Nigeria.
It's not after the aftermath of maybe a security issue.
It's not medicine after death.
Exactly. You start acting. Be proactive.
Measures, of course.
Be proactive. Interesting. Still very much with the Nation newspaper, I have these. Tinubu deserves to consolidate reform, says Ogun lawmaker. A member of the Ogun State House of Assembly representing Ijebu North 1 state constituency, Rashid Kashamu has said that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has earned the confidence of the Nigerian to seek a second term in office in 2027. He believed the administrative reforms and development initiatives that led to the foundation of a more prosperous and economically resilient nation. All Progressive Congress APC lawmakers said President Tinubu assumed office at one of the most difficult periods in Nigeria history, but had demonstrated uncommon courage by implementing what it described as bold and fear-reaching reforms aimed at repositioning the country's economy for sustainable growth. According to Kashamu, while the reforms initially came with inevitable challenges, they have begun to yield measurable results across critical sectors, including infrastructure, agriculture, education, security, youth empowerment, healthcare, investment, digital economy, and social welfare. It maintained that the continuity will enable the administration to consolidate ongoing reforms and accelerate national development. He said, and I quote, "The journey of rebuilding any nation is never an overnight exercise. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inherited enormous economic and structural challenges that accumulated over several years. Yet, he chose the difficult part of reforms rather than the easy part of postponing problems." End of quote. For details on the story, you find in the Nation newspaper.
All right, I'm still on Punch newspaper. Chaos as flooding shut Lagos Airport's temporary terminal. There was chaos at the temporary terminal of the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, on Sunday after heavy rainfall caused severe floodings at the facility. The departure hall, boarding gates, airline temporary offices, and other sections of the makeshift terminal was submerged. The situation forced the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to shut the terminal abruptly as airlines operating from the facility could no longer process passengers. As a result of the flooding, airlines including Air France KLM, Ethiopian Airlines, and Fly Gabon were relocated from the terminal. According to officials, the terminal's powerhouse was also flooded, forcing the authorities to switch off electricity. Consequently, all airlines operating from the facility were moved to Terminal 2 of the MMIA. FAAN officials alleged that the flooding was caused by blocked drainage channels, which they attributed to the Chinese company currently constructing the old international terminal. The incident came just months after FAAN shut the old MMIA terminal for a major reconstruction project estimated to cost more than 600 billion naira. A few months ago, a fire also broke out at the old terminal, damaging parts of the facility. For more details on this story, you can find on Punch newspaper.
All right, from the Nation, I moved to the Guardian newspaper, and I think this is in consonance with the new security code that Lagos State introduced, Operation Kusaye. The headline reads, "Legal Economic Concern Trace Kidnappers' Dens and Demolition." The instant demolition of a building allegedly used in keeping hostages by the Oyo State government following the abduction surge in the state and its attended public outrage has raised legal, economic, and moral and security questions. When officials of the Oyo State government arrived with a bulldozer at the modest 3-bedroom bungalow in Lako community, Ayegun Anayi Road, Ibadan, on June 8, 2026, they were not merely demolishing a building, they inadvertently also destroying important evidence that could have aided investigation into kidnapping and sundry illicit conduct. Days earlier, the structure had allegedly served as hideout where Mrs. Olaide Busayo Adegoke John Paul, younger sister to the former Minister of Power, Shibayo Adelabu, and her 11-year-old twin sons, Peter and Paul, were held after being abducted from Ilerua Street off Ring Road, Ibadan, days earlier. Under the watch of security operatives and government officials led by the Commissioner for Public Works and Transport, Abdulmajid Magbonjubola, the bungalow was reduced to rubble, with the government also revoked the occupancy right of the plot of the land. A few days later, another property, residential compound comprising a story building and 2 bungalows at Beku along Arubiewe Road near Olodo Garage, Ibadan, suffered the same fate, and it was demolished after security agencies allegedly discovered a cache of arms and ammunition on the premises. Details of this report you find in the Guardian newspaper.
All right, now I'm moving on to Nigerian Tribune. Oyo government lifts curfew in 10 local government areas, assures residents of safety. The Oyo State government has lifted the security curfew imposed on 10 local government areas following the recent kidnapping incident in Orire local government area. The state government had earlier imposed a 16-hour curfew on the affected communities as part of measures to strengthen security and facilitate efforts by security agencies. The restriction was subsequently extended by an additional day on Thursday. Announcing the development in a statement on Saturday, the Commissioner for Information, Prince Dotun Oyelade, said residents of the affected local government areas could now resume their normal activities. He commended residents for their patience, cooperation, and understanding throughout the period of the curfew. Oyelade assures the public that the government remains committed to safeguarding lives and property, adding that security agencies are closely monitoring the situation to ensure lasting peace and security. He further stated that efforts are ongoing to bring the kidnapping incident to a successful conclusion and restore normalcy across the affected communities. For details on this story, you can find on the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, this you find on the Guardian newspaper. Dixon Kwankwaso meet as NDC alleges INEC denied portal access. With the rider, party says lack of access could block candidate nominations. Ondo chapter rejects FHC ruling, vow to pursue appeal. Harua urges Tinubu to defend multi-party democracy. Falana seek reforms, right protection before 2027 polls. APC shifting dismisses Obi's 2027 exclusion claims. Fresh concerns were raised yesterday over Nigeria's democratic space as the NDC accused INEC of frustrating its participation in the 2027 general election, prompting renewed warning from right advocates and opposition figures over the country's electoral climate. The Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, accused the Independent National Electoral Commission of denying its access to the candidate nomination portal for the 2027 general elections, a development the party said prevented it from completing the submission of its candidate particulars before a court ruling casts uncertainty over its legal status. The allegation comes amid an escalating dispute between the party and the Electoral Commission following a Federal High Court judgment in Lokoja that set aside an earlier order directing INEC to register the NDC as a political party. The court on Friday vacated its December 10, 2025 judgment. In the ruling delivered in suit number FHC LKJ CS 49 2025, Justice Isaiah Dashen held that the earlier judgment was delivered without hearing all necessary parties, rendering the proceedings constitutionally defective. The decision followed an application by the Peace Movement Party, PMP, which argued that it had a legal interest in the matter and ought to have been joined in the suit before the judgment was delivered. If you are interested in that story, you get the details in the Guardian newspaper.
All right, still on Nigerian Tribune, and we'll be ending the newspaper review with this story. And to world news now. Trump unveils new U.S. passport featuring picture of himself. United States President Donald Trump has unveiled a new commemorative U.S. passport carrying his image as part of activities marking America's 250th anniversary. The USA's new passport, which says, "Welcome, but be good," Trump posted on Truth Social. The president shared a sample page of the passport showing his image positioned above the Resolute desk, with the image Declaration of Independence displayed in the background and his signature at the bottom. An illustration of John Trumbull's famous painting, the Declaration of Independence, appears on the facing page. The design appears to be based on Trump's portrait at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery in Washington. It differs from earlier passport rendering released by the State Department this year, which used a different image of the president. For more details on this, you can find on Nigerian Tribune. But let's imagine President Tinubu comes and say that he wants to unveil a new passport. It is image on it. So how do you think Nigeria is going to take it?
It's kind of
well,
hilarious.
it is Trump, and well,
But America is not that type of society anyway.
yeah.
It's not, even for the fact that you are the president does not mean you will always have your way.
Of
People,
course.
opposition will always, the democracy there is standard. And I
Yes, it
believe
is.
maybe Trump is just, I don't want to
Like you
complete
said,
the
it's
statement.
to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States,
All
and I
right.
think it's actually a good
And
one.
let's see how far you can go with that.
Well, yes. So with that, we've come to the end of the newspaper review, and we are going to take a short break now. When we return, we are going to let you know what is next on our lineup, which will be at the time for the first discussion. Please stay with us.
Chief Michael Adekunle Ajashin, born November 28, 1908, was a distinguished Nigerian educator, politician, and statesman renowned for his integrity, commitment to democracy, and transformative impact on education in Nigeria. Born in Owo, present-day Ondo State, Ajashi began his education at St. Andrew's College, Oyo, from 1924 to 1927, where he trained as a teacher. He furthered his studies at Fowler Bay College in Sierra Leone, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, Modern History, and Economics in 1946. He then obtained a postgraduate diploma in education from the University of London in 1947. Ajashin's career in education commenced with his appointment as principal of Imadi College in Owo in 1947. He was instrumental in staff development, encouraging teachers to pursue further training at institutions like University College Ibadan. In 1963, he founded Owo High School, serving as the first principal until his retirement in 1975. Ajashin's political journey began in the 1950s as a founding member and national vice president of the Action Group, advocating for policies such as free education, universal health care, and Nigeria's immediate independence. He served as a federal legislator from 1954 to 1966. In 1979, he was elected governor of Ondo State under the Unity Party of Nigeria (UPN), with Akin Omoboriwo as his deputy. His administration prioritized education, establishing the Ondo State University in 1982, now Ekiti State University, and the Polytechnic Owo. In the 1983 elections, Ajashin was initially declared the loser amid allegations of electoral malpractice. However, the Supreme Court later reinstated him, affirming his victory. His tenure was cut short by the military coup on 31 December 1983. In 1939, Ajashin married Babafunke Tenabe, a fellow educator. They had 4 children, including Olajumoke Anifowoshi, who later served as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Ondo State. Ajashin's commitment to democracy was evident in the 1990s when he became a leading figure in the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, advocating for the restoration of democracy and the recognition of MKO Abiola's electoral mandate. His activism led to his arrest in 1995 under General Sani Abacha's regime. In recognition of his contributions, Ondo State University was renamed Adekunle Ajashin University in 2000. His governance style, marked by simplicity and incorruptibility, remains a benchmark in Nigerian politics, as he once stated. And I quote, "I came into office in October 1979 with a set of my own rich native dresses, and left office in December 1983 with the same set of dresses. No addition, no subtraction. His legacies continue to linger in memories, generation after generation. She was called the Lioness of Lisabi, a name that roared through the halls of colonial power and echoed in the hearts of women across Africa. Her name is Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, a teacher, activist, feminist, nationalist, and mother to legends. But before the fame, there was fire. Born on October 25, 1900 in Abeokuta, present-day Ogun State, Nigeria. Funmilayo was born Frances Abigail Olufunmilayo Thomas. She came from a family that valued education, and in 1914, she became the first female student at Abeokuta Grammar School. Determined and brilliant, she later traveled to England for further studies, a rare feat for a Nigerian woman at that time. There, she trained as a teacher, absorbing ideas of equality and freedom that would shape her life's mission. On returning to Nigeria in the 1920s, she married Reverend Israel Ransome Kuti, a clergyman and educator. Together, they worked to uplift their community through education. But Funmilayo was not content with just teaching. She saw how colonial rule and traditional structures oppressed Nigerian women, and she decided to act. In 1947, she founded the Abeokuta Women's Union, one of Africa's most powerful grassroots women movements. The group fought against unfair taxation and the corrupt practices of the Alake, the traditional ruler of Abeokuta. Thousands of women led by Funmilayo marched in protest. They sang, they chanted, they occupied, and eventually they won. The Alake was forced to abdicate. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti was fearless. She was one of the few Nigerian women to drive a car. to travel widely and to speak truth to power. Her activism didn't stop in Abeokuta. She was a founding member of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, a member of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon's NCNC. And in 1953, she became the first Nigerian woman to visit the Soviet Union, a move that earned her the label communist sympathizer by British authorities. But she wasn't deterred. In fact, she was emboldened. In her later years, she focused on broader issues: education, voting rights, women participation in politics. She advocated for the inclusion of women in leadership and resisted Nigeria's slide into authoritarianism. She raised 4 children, including Fela Anikulapo Kuti, the legendary Afrobeat pioneer, instilling in them the spirit of resistance and truth. But tragedy would eventually come. In 1977, during a brutal military raid on Fela's compound, known as Kalakuta Republic, Funmilayo was thrown from his second-story window by soldiers. She never recovered from the injuries, and on April 13th, 1978, she passed away. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was more than a mother, more than a teacher. She was a symbol of courage, of resistance, of dignity. She paved the path so Nigerian women could walk tall, speak freely, and fight for justice. Her legacy lives in every classroom, every protest, every woman who dares to say enough is enough. This was the story of Funmilayo Ransom Kuti, the lioness of listening, a voice that cannot be silenced, a spirit that lives on.
It's good to know you're still there. Thank you so much for staying with us. So in recent times, there have been growing concern over the conduct and behavior of some school students in Akure metropolis and across Ondo State. While academic excellence is very important, many people believe that our schools must pay attention to character, discipline, and moral values. So for our first discussion this morning, we are going to be looking at beyond academics, rebuilding character and discipline in Ondo schools. Joining us in the studio to help shed more light on this important conversation is none other than the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Professor Igbekele Ajibefu. Honorable Commissioner, you're welcome to here
Thank
today.
you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. So to start with, there have been recent reports of incidents and inappropriate conduct of some final year students during their post-examination celebration, which generated widespread public concern and sparked conversation about discipline in our schools. So, Honorable Commissioner, what was the immediate reaction of your ministry to this incident?
Thank you very much. I want to say that what we have seen recently in terms of behavior of students in our secondary school. It did not start today. It has been on for a long time to sanction the students that were involved. Even the principals were queried that they ought to have brought this one to a stop before it got to that level.
Well, beyond condemning the behavior and those sanctions, what concrete disciplinary actions were taken following this incident?
Yeah, one of the disciplinary actions was to say that all schools must open a black book where the names of students who misbehaved should be put. It should also reflect in their testimonials. You know, all students will get testimonial from the schools concerning their conduct while in school. And these testimonials will be very, very important for their future career. When they want to get to some important position, they will ask your schools your conduct, about your conduct. And the school will go into record. So we want the students to know that the consequences of bad behavior is serious. Okay. So then the third one is that they will not easily access their WAEC result. If they access, their certificate will be withheld. Yes, any student that are found wanting in this area.
That will serve as deterrent to others. Now, but beyond that, I also want to look at the teachers.
Yeah.
Because one thing is to have the student, because the student also look up to the teachers. During my days in secondary school, such thing dare not happen because our principal then, of course, he was a disciplinarian.
Yeah.
So are you also looking at a way of trying to talk to the schools, put disciplinary measure in place to ensure that teachers also stand their ground in disciplining these teachers, these students, and as well inculcating morals? What are your plans, towards that?
Thank you very much. When we talk about morals in school, it has to be addressed holistically, not just about students, but the entire system, including the heads of those schools as well as the teachers. And our steps are not limited to disciplining students, but teachers are also involved. I want to inform you that in the last few months, I have personally led team from the Ministry of Education to pay unscheduled visit to a number of schools. It's not announced. We get to any school, anytime, any day. In fact, last week I still got to some schools. And today I will still visit some schools. Okay. So, and beyond that, the ministry is putting a number of strategies in place that the schools will be well monitored, that any teacher that is not doing the right thing will be reported. And this will start by September, during the new academic year, commencement of new academic year. Yes.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, thank you for that. I think that will go a long way. Now, let's talk about, as the number one stakeholders in the education sector in Ondo State. So we would like to hear from you now, maybe a way of message to students that are planning to write their final exams and the need for them to be moderate in their celebration.
Yes.
So what message do you have for them?
Thank you very much.
Maybe there's penalty, maybe you understand. That should come from you.
Yes. As a major stakeholder in the education sector, I celebrate excellence. There's nothing wrong with celebration, but we have to do it in a decent way. So for students that are writing their final exams in schools, when you finish, you have reached a milestone that should be celebrated. When you celebrate, not that you go and tear your clothes, you go and do all sorts of nonsense and put in social media. So those things will attract heavy sanctions, and those sanctions will definitely affect those students in the near future. So my advice to them is that when you finish your exam, you can be happy, you can do your celebration at home. When you celebrate in school, you are not to misbehave. Everybody knows the right way to behave. We know all form of misconduct, and the code of conduct is available for all these students. Anything that goes against the code of conduct will attract sanction. And for those that have not been involved, I want them to learn from what has happened recently and the sanctions that followed, so that they will not be caught unaware. And my major advice goes to parents. Charity begins at home. Yes, most of this misconduct by students start from home. When the students are not reprimanded at home, they will go out to do all sorts of things. So for parents, please advise your children. Let them be cautioned. Let them do the right thing. When they are doing the wrong thing, immediately take steps to reverse that, to address that, and take steps to even make some punishment, make them to serve some punishment, to serve as deterrent to them.
Okay, Honorable
Yes.
Commissioner, there's been a growing concern about schools placing more emphasis on academic success rather than character development. Yet, in Ondo State, our culture and moral values remain paramount and as an important part of our identity. So how can we strike a balance between academic excellence and character development in our schools?
Yes, thank you. Academic excellence and character development, they go together.
Yes.
Yes, if one is lacking, the person will not go so far. Somebody, a student with excellent academic record without good character will not get anywhere, because anything a student wants to do in future or somebody wants to do it, they will look at your character, look back at your record. So having academic excellence is not alone to succeed in life. Academic excellence is important, while character building is very, very crucial. That is what we support academic excellence for such person to rise to the top.
Okay. So
Yes.
how do we strike a balance? What should the schools do differently
Yes.
to ensure that, okay?
The schools, particularly the heads of those schools,
Yes.
they are responsible to whatever that happens in their school, to whatever that happens to their students. They must ensure that character building is inculcated into these students. It should be major part of their program. Yes, starting from assembly, the students should be well trained in the way they must behave, the way they must not behave, things that go against our culture, against our tradition, things that can affect them in the future. This training will start right from the assembly. In the class, the teachers are role models to these students. Apart from teaching them all these other subjects, they must also talk to them about character. Yes, in my years of lecturing in the university system, where I start my lecture, I will first talk about character. Even to students up to PhD level, character is very important. The heads of those schools must make sure that apart from teaching the students, character building must form a major component of their curriculum.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for sharing your experience and
Yes.
for those insights.
Yes.
So while teaching goes beyond classrooms, students also learn through activities and programs and that help shape their values and behavior. So beyond classroom teaching, what is the Ministry of Education doing, or what programs is the ministry implementing to strengthen discipline, national patriotism, leadership, and moral values among the students?
Yes, thank you. We have various programs through different partnering organizations that are organized for these students every time. In fact, there is no month where there is no special program that where students will be brought together to train them about character, to train them about skills development, as well as other things that will help them in life. And these partnering organizations, they are very, very supportive in this area. And we are going to intensify this, given the fact that we need to do more in terms of character building in our schools, starting from 2026-2027 academic year. That will start from September. More of this program will come up, and we will ensure that students in particular, they form major part of this program where they can learn so many other things aside the classroom teaching. They will learn about skills development, about character building, about even our tradition, our culture that we must maintain.
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you, Honorable Commissioner.
Yes.
That one is very interesting. Now, let's talk about, you've talked about the role of parents
Yes.
and also the teachers in the course of building a child.
Yes.
Now, you also agree with me that it's beyond teachers and parents.
Yes.
So, what, in your view, what role should you think that the religious organizations, religious bodies, and as well community should be playing in the course of building or character development of a child to complement the effort of government?
Thank you. Character development of these children is the responsibility of the society. The society commences from home,
Yes.
the parents, the religious organizations, the schools. All these components must play their role. In the church, in the mosque, children must be taught the right thing. They must be put through right character, the wrong things that they must not partake in. So religious organizations, they have critical roles. And even our traditional communities, they also have their role. For instance, in some communities, there are taboos. There are wrong things that no one should be found doing. Yes, our children must be taught about all this so that at home they are taught the right thing. In the church, in the mosque, they are also taught the right thing, and in schools. When all these different components of the society do what is right in terms of training these children, things will be very, very right. Once we don't give them room to misbehave, to go in the wrong way in terms of behavior.
No, thank you for that.
Thank
So
you.
now let's look at the disciplinary measures for these students.
Yes.
Many schools no longer use cane as a form of discipline. While this protects the children's rights, of course, and but some believe that there should be more. Some believe that this made discipline more difficult. So, what other disciplinary measure can schools use to correct students without violating their rights?
Yes, thank you very much. During our period in school,
Yes.
yes, the fear of cane is the beginning of wisdom.
Yes, it is.
Because when you do something wrong, you will be properly caned. And when you get home, you report that you are caned. Your parents will also flog you. But today, things have changed.
Yes.
Yes, when we talk of children's rights, all this have affected the way we correct these children, with the way we discipline them. And I want to say that at times, flogging a student might not even make any serious impact. Some students, they will say, okay, continue to flog me.
Yes.
And it will not change them. So my thinking is that we should look at the best way to punish a student that it will make impact rather than flogging them, because some students might be sick. If some student is flogged in a way that it can affect his head, the teacher will be in trouble also. So the best thing is to look for a way to punish a student that will make impact, that will make the student change. And one of the ways is what we have rolled out last week concerning the black book. A student that misbehave, his or her name will go into that black book. That one is more effective than flogging some students.
Honorable Commissioner, also, let's
Yes.
also look at our curriculum.
Yes.
You know, some people will tell you it's kind of lopsided. You know, we are always driving toward academic excellence. But there are also morally instructive subjects like
Yes.
civic education, religious studies, and all of that are no longer in the curriculum. So what are you doing? Or are you planning your ministry now to introduce some of these subjects or possibly strengthen them so that these students can begin to see reasons and discover moral lessons from these subjects?
Thank you very much. I don't believe in that.
Okay.
My belief is that where there is no law, there is no sin. Where there is law and there is punishment for violating such law, everybody will behave. Teach them from today till next year, till 100 years, about moral behavior, about civic education, about if sanctions are not taken against violators, they will continue to misbehave.
But even looking at the society, everybody is aware of the law.
Yes.
Even the so-called terrorists, they know there is law.
Yes.
But they chose that path because that is what they believe. Maybe, probably, if we have exposed them at a very young age
Yes.
on the need to be moral, on the need
Yes.
to be human,
Yes.
that killing is wrong,
Yes.
possibly we may not be having that case now. So I'm still on that question.
Yeah.
That don't you see the need to introduce some of these morally instructive subjects that can open their eyes on the need for them to be on the right path, on the moral path, so to say?
Yes, you are right. It is important to continue to review and make changes in our curriculum in line with what is happening, in line with our environment, in line with our situation. That is very, very important. I agree with you, but beyond that, we must also instill discipline, yes, in these students, so that when they know that certain misbehavior, misdemeanor will attract sanction, they will not go into that. So I agree with you that we have to review our curriculum from time to time to ensure that some critical issues are addressed, particularly in this environment where some of our students, they misbehave, their conduct is not satisfactory enough. We have to look at the curriculum, and there's nothing wrong in reviewing our curriculum ourselves to see what is missing, particularly in terms of our environment, and introducing such into our curriculum.
Nicola, before you ask your question, so, Honorable Commissioner, the
Yeah.
Department of Guardian and Counseling,
Yes.
how effective is that department in our school today?
Yeah.
Do we still have that system?
I
in
want to
place,
say
or-
that we still have the department, guidance and counseling.
and very effective.
Yeah, I won't talk about the effectiveness, but I want to say that not just about guidance and counseling, the entire school system. We have to really look into the entire school system and come up with strategies to make the entire system very, very effective. I've told you that I have visited a number of schools. I'm not satisfied with what I saw. A situation where about 20% of teachers are absent. So it's not just about guidance and the entire system. And we are coming up with a system to monitor them starting from September this academic year, so that people that are employed to do certain work, they must carry out that responsibility the way it should be done. If you are a teacher, you must be available to teach your student. A head of school must be available. They will have lessons to learn from these people.
Yes.
But where the head is not available, the teachers will also not be available. Many of them will not be available. So it is dead and lacking in many facilities because these schools are old, some of them over 100 years. But government has started to address this problem. Last year, government, Ondo State government implemented executed 75 different projects in our schools, including renovation of old buildings, reconstruction of new classrooms, laboratory reconstruction and renovation, and supply of equipment to some of these schools. You know, because there are so many challenges, government cannot address everything at once, and the government alone cannot fund education. We have some alumni associations that have come in to support their schools in terms of provision of computer system to the schools, computer laboratories. So while government is doing its own, we also want people, the public, philanthropists, and alumni associations to also come to the aid of the education sector so that we can get to that level where we want to be.
Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you, Honorable Commissioner. Let's talk about the achievement of government now.
Yes.
You know, if you ask me, if I'm a fan of the government,
Yes.
his government, I'll tell you in the area of infrastructures,
Yes.
because these are obvious.
Yeah.
So does that suggest that this government is prioritizing infrastructures over education? I need you to convince me the other way around, or possibly what are the strategic priorities that this present government put in place to promote and lift education sector in Ondo State?
Thank you very much. Education, we need infrastructure to function well.
Right.
Yes. If there's no road to a school, particularly in several areas where we have bad road, the student will find it difficult to get to the school.
I think you're right there.
Yes. So infrastructure is very, very important.
Yes.
Then when you talk of infrastructure, it goes beyond road. For instance, the classrooms, the teaching and learning environment of the students and the teachers, they are very, very important. In the last 1 year, and this year, we have about 50 projects in different schools where that of last year did not get to. And every year, we continue to implement new projects. And beyond that, training and retraining of our teachers. Also, we are all aware that the government recruited over 2,000 teachers last year. So, as a government prioritizes infrastructure, educational development is also a big priority of this government.
Okay.
Yes.
While every administration sets goals,
Discipline. Nothing can be achieved. Let government put trillions of naira into the system. Without discipline, it will never show. I want to tell you that most of our schools now, particularly primary and secondary school, they are aware that the Commissioner for Education can get to their school anytime, any day. So they are very, very conscious of this, and they have warned their teachers. And see what also happened last week about sanctions against the students that misbehave. These have been on for a long time. Students misbehaving, fighting inside bus, disturbing public peace.
Yes.
But I want to tell you that it is coming down gradually. Yes. Aside that, I want to say that the projects that have been implemented by the state government in the last 1 year, the school system, GSS 1 to 3 and SS 1 to 3, at the end of the day, we should be able to trace the performance from the beginning to the end. For instance, a student who is writing the final exam, for instance, this common entrance in primary 6, so a student may be sick at that point of writing the exam and may not be able to perform. If there is no record of assessment over the years, it will work against all students. And the federal government is coming up now that students in primary 6 going to secondary school will no longer do common entrance. They will only make use of their continuous assessment to move them to the new. We have
bear the same identity.
Yeah, the same identity. All his record can be transferred to the new school. And we have some things that are happening in our school system before that are not good that we are trying to stop. For instance, in most of our private schools, there is no primary 6 again. Many of them are also cancelling primary 5. That means they are spending just 4 years in school. And the education policy of Nigeria is 6-3-3-4. But now, where they're supposed to spend 6 years, they are spending 4 years. The deficit will be reflected.
Even the maturity.
The maturity, and that is why JAMB has come up that any students will pass through the normal classes. And the parents, we are advising them that they shouldn't be in hurry. Yes, hurrying their children beyond their level.
There's a difference between being brilliant and being intelligent.
Yes.
The student is brilliant does not mean he's intelligent. He has to pass through the necessary processes
and phases of learning.
Exactly.
Yes, and many of those students, children that jump classes, they are not mature by the time they get to university system. These are children that are easily lured into secret courtesan and so on and so forth. So we're advising our parents to allow their children to pass through their matured
Purpose
Yeah.
for that business, which is to, instill learning.
Yeah.
Now,
Students.
what are you doing, your ministry now, to ensure that these schools that are coming up are meeting up the standard
Thank you.
in terms of infrastructures,
you.
academic performances, and the rest?
Yes, thank you. The private school system is very, very crucial
Okay.
in any system in any country, because the majority of the students are passing through the private school system. So if the private school system is not not functioning well, it will also affect the generality of the performance of the entire system. So because of that,
School proprietors and students on building a culture where academic excellence goes hand in hand with character, discipline, and responsible
Yes.
citizenship.
thank you very much. Yes, everybody has a role to play in building a responsible society.
Yes.
Yes, starting from from home, the parents, the teachers, and the head of schools where these children go to. Responsibilities, the way they should serve as role model to these students. Where they need to punish, they should punish. Where they need to encourage, they must encourage. Where they need to reward, they must reward.
Of course.
Yes, so that everybody will be motivated to do the right thing. And
08 was a distinguished Nigerian educator, politician, and statesman renowned for his integrity, commitment to democracy, and transformative impact on education in Nigeria. Born in Owo, present-day Ondo State, Ajashi began his education at St. Andrew's College, Oyo, from 1924 to 1927, where he trained as a teacher. He furthered his studies at Fowler Bay College in Sierra Leone. He then obtained a postgraduate diploma in education from the University of London in 1947. Ajashi's career in education commenced with his appointment as principal of Imadi College in Owo in 1947. He was instrumental in staff development, encouraging teachers to pursue further training at institutions like University College Ibadan. In 1963, he founded our high school, serving as the first principal until his retirement in 1975. Ajashin's political journey began in the 1950s as a founding member and national vice president of the Action Group, advocating for policies such as free education, universal health care, and Nigeria's immediate independence. He served as a federal legislator from 1954 to 1966. In 1979, he was elected governor of Ondo State under the Unity Party of Nigeria (UPN), with Akin Omoboriwo as his deputy. His administration prioritized education, establishing the Ondo State University in 1982, now Ekiti State University, and the Polytechnic Owo. In the 1983 elections, Ajashin was initially declared the loser amid allegations of electoral malpractice. However, the Supreme Court later reinstated him, affirming his victory. His tenure was cut short by the military coup on 31 December 1983. Educator, they had 4 children, including Olajumoke Anifowoshi, who later served as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Ondo State. Ajashin's commitment to democracy was evident in the 1990s when he became a leading figure in the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, advocating for the restoration of democracy and the recognition of MKO Abiola's electoral mandate. His activism led to his arrest in 1995 under General Substitutions. Ondo State University was renamed Adekunle Ajasin University in 2000. His governance style, marked by simplicity and incorruptibility, remains a benchmark in Nigerian politics, as he once stated. And I quote, "I came into office in October 1979 with a set of my own rich native dresses and left office in December 1983 with the same set of dresses. No addition, no subtraction." His legacies continue to linger in memories, generation after generation.
Alright, it's good to know you're still there with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. So now, my co-host Alex is going to tell us what is next on the lineup for today.
All right, on the lineup, you know, on the show we have varieties. We're not limited to current affairs.
Of course.
So we want to take our viewer to Ile-Ife. You know, the Yoruba, as a matter of fact, they say that culture is a way of life. And for the Yoruba people, that you cannot take away from them. The rich historical accounts, and the very interesting cultural richness.
Of course.
So there's a particular festival in Ile-Ife known as Olojo Festival,
Olojo
and the Yoruba
Festival.
believe it marks the beginning of a new day.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting cultural content. So we'll take you to Ile-Ife now. Watch this mini documentary. We'll tell you, you know, we talked about it after this time out. Stay with us.
Every civilization has a beginning, a place where history meets mystery, where tradition outlives generations, where the sacred and the ordinary exist side by side. For the Yoruba people, one of Africa's largest and the most influential cultural groups, that place is Ile-Ife, nestled in the heart of present-day Osun State in southwestern Nigeria. Ile-Ife is more than a nation city. It is revered as the spiritual homeland of the Yoruba people, a place where history, faith, kinship, and culture converge. For centuries, the city has remained a beacon of Yoruba identity, preserving customs, beliefs, and traditions that continue to inspire millions across Nigeria, West Africa, and the global African diaspora. Beyond its bustling streets and thriving communities lies a rich historical legacy. Archaeological discoveries of exquisite bronze and terracotta sculptures that have revealed an advanced civilization celebrated for its artistic excellence, sophisticated craftsmanship, and organized society long before European contact with West Africa. Yet, the significance of Ile-Ife extends far beyond archaeology. According to Yoruba oral tradition, this is the very place where creation began. It is here that Olodumare, the supreme creator, entrusted the sacred task of establishing habitable land to Odudua, who descended from the heavens carrying a handful of earth, a sacred rooster, and the divine authority to transform the watery expanse into dry land. Whether understood as sacred cosmology or cherished oral heritage, this account has shaped the worldview and the identity of generations of Yoruba people, firmly establishing Ile-Ife as the cradle of Yoruba civilization. At the center of this remarkable history stands one of Africa's most revered ancestral figures, Odudua, celebrated as the founding monarch of Ile-Ife and the royal progenitor of the Yoruba people. Odudua occupies a unique place in the cultural memory of the Yoruba nation. From him, according to traditions, emerged princes and princesses who journeyed from Ile-Ife to establish kingdoms across Yoruba land. This royal descendant founded some of the most influential kingdoms in West Africa, including Oyo, Ketu, Ijebu. Many Yoruba monarchs proudly trace their ancestry to Odudua, reaffirming Ile-Ife's enduring status as the fountainhead of the Yoruba kingship and civilization. Among Oduduwa's descendants, one prince towers above many others in both legend and history, Oromiyan, remembered as a fearless warrior and an accomplished statesman and a great empire builder. Oromiyan played a defining role in the expansion of the dynasty and also closely associated with the establishment of the early royal lineage of the Benin Kingdom. In Ile-Ife, his legacy is immortalized by the towering Opa Oromiyan, an ancient granite monument that has stood for centuries as a symbol of courage, leadership, and continuity. Yet, Oromiyan's story reaches beyond conquest and kingship. His name is woven into one of the most sacred traditions of Ile-Ife, a celebration that has endured through generations, preserving the spiritual heritage of an entire people. That celebration is the Olojo Festival. Each year, as the appointed season approaches, the atmosphere in Ile-Ife begins to change. The sounds of ordinary life gradually give way to sacred anticipation. The palace prepares for an ancient rite. Traditional priests begin spiritual observances handed down through countless generations. The Oni of Ife withdraws from public view in solemn seclusion as a custodian of tradition to undertake rituals believed to renew the spiritual covenant between the throne, the people, the ancestors, and the divine. It is a period of reflection, a season of purification, and the beginning of preparation for one of Africa's oldest surviving cultural festivals. For the people of Ile-Ife, Olojo is more than an annual celebration. It is the remembrance of origin, the renewal of identity, and a living bridge connecting the past with the present. In the next chapter, we journey into the origins of the Olojo festival itself, exploring the traditions surrounding Oromiyan, the revered Orisha Ogun, the oral account of Gbajure, and how a nation's sacred observance evolved into one of Africa's most celebrated cultural festivals.
Thank you for staying with us, and we do hope you enjoyed that special documentary of the Ile-Ife. So
Olojo Festival.
The Olojo Festival coming from the Ile-Ife.
Ile-Ife, yeah, absolutely.
And one thing this documentary reminds us is that our history is our identity. As we, even as we continue to embrace modern development in our world today, we must also preserve our traditions and culture. And of course, our heritage defines us as a people. And places like Ile-Ife, they are not just a tourist attraction.
Absolutely.
They are reminders of where we actually came from. Of course, that is the cradle of the Yoruba
yeah,
people.
yeah. One interesting thing about this Olojo Festival, I don't want to go ahead of the narrator now, but one thing that is fascinating about Olojo Festival is the fact that it's all-encompassing. You talk about the actors, and there are also spiritual characters that you don't even see according to, you know, stay away from the public, to hear from the gods, to make pronunciation, and be able to fit, to carry the crown. And even if you look at the visual, you see able men supporting him, and he's fidgeting like a pendulum.
It shows that it's actually heavy.
That is very, very heavy.
But so can a human being carry something as
that's
heavy
why,
as 50
that is why it has to
cement?
be the Oni. It has to be him, and he wears it once in a year.
Okay.
So don't let us go ahead of the narrator.
Okay.
Obviously, maybe subsequent episode we'll get to hear more about the Olojo Festival, the origins, and the rest.
And you know, even to edit videos now, you can actually shoot a video and put it in a particular app.
Just give the app the prompts.
The video to be, and in no time, it's actually going to do that. And of course, it's actually important that this is an important thing to see that AI is not just a tool; it makes our work easier. And that is what should be the essence of artificial intelligence, to make life easier
the fear
for us.
generally is that a lot of people believe AI has come to
replace human.
Exactly.
You know, we had a guest the other day who came to explain to
Of
us
course.
what it's actually about. AI is
It's
not
here to
replacing.
complement.
It's here
It's
to
to
complement.
make your job easy, to help you with automated jobs and
automated
duties.
jobs. AI is not here to replace human. I think AI is here to complement our job and to make our life easier. And the other day, he was actually saying also that the future, of course, many people believe that AI is the future, but when we are talking about the future belongs to the people who can actually use AI effectively to actually
do creative things.
to make use of it creatively, to wield it wisely. And for every creative now, for every videographer, photographer, whatever creatives out there, even writers, even if you are not actually using AI, and I think you might not be able to stay relevant in the coming years.
You know, AI is just like a PA. The PA, your PA is not the one conceiving the people that are trying to manipulate things just for economic gains. The reality is that globally, the pressure to relieve, like you said, the price of fuel is coming down, and we'll start seeing the effect. So if you are trying to hide because you want to make economic gain, I'm not sure that will work out this time around.
You know,
as we speak, I think it's gradually going down. You know, we run a mono economy.
Because it has to go down. It affects almost everything. Everything. Fuel actually affects almost everything in our day-to-day activity, and we just continue hoping that fuel price continue reducing, and it's actually felt across every place, even in homes,
definitely.
markets, workplace, and across the country.
It's gradual. By August, I believe things will normalize.
Of course, definitely. And lastly, let's look at fake news, which is becoming harder to detect. This is still about the AI generated images and videos. Another growing concern is about fake news, especially on